most valuable resource and it cannot be created. The water on Earth is recycled, pumped from underground or other water-holding resources, and added to only when it rains. Here where we live, it's obvious that rain doesn't come our way too often, so we don't get much rainwater added to our supply. It's important to understand how quickly we go through the water that we use and how easily it's wasted. Being aware of how much water is wasted is step number 1 to water conservation. Americans use twice as much water per day than citizens from other first world countries. A power plant uses water as a source of cooling. They send about 670 gallons per day to each household. Added to that on a day-to-day basis, the average American will use around 2,000 gallons of water, compared to Australia where households use around 1,000 gallons of water per day. Now in a third world country like Africa, people survive on 3 gallons or less per day, where here in the United States we use 3 gallons on just a single toilet flush. I was astonished when I gathered information from online sites such as peoplewater.com, homewaterworks.org, and EPA.gov. It is mind-blowing knowing how much water is used by common household items. Showers account for 17% of water used in a year. I bet at least 50% of you in the room, myself included, let the water warm up before you get in. Well, a shower head uses approximately 2.1 gallons per minute, so even just letting the water warm up for 30 seconds before you get in is a whole gallon wasted. Now once you get in, if you cut 3 minutes off your daily shower at 2.1 gallons per minute, you save 6.3 gallons per day and over 44 gallons in a week. Personally, I think that's a huge difference and could eventually make a big difference if we stay in this drought. A clothes washer is responsible for 14 to 45 gallons per load and anywhere between 25 and 40% of yearly water consumption in a household. Depending on how old your washing machine is, it uses between 6,000 and 12,000 gallons of water per year. This is an extremely large amount and could be reduced by washing fuller loads and updating your machine, because the older it is, the more water it uses per load. Faucets are another big factor to water usage. Personally, I never thought a leaky faucet was that big of a deal. Of course I knew it was wasteful, but during my research, I found that if a leak was not fixed for a year, 14% of your yearly water consumption just went down the drain. I bet we're all going to think twice about repairing the next leak that we see. Turning off the faucet when brushing your teeth and while washing dishes is the difference between 9,700 gallons and 6,600 gallons used from your sink in a year. Cutting back is an important part to conserving, but what else can we do? Recycling water is just as important as conserving. There are a few things that you can do. First, you could try a rain collection barrel. Said to be very popular and efficient, rain collection barrels can be very useful and beneficial. They come in numerous sizes, and when filled to the desirable amount, the water collected can be used to water the garden or given to livestock. Secondly, even though baths aren't considered to be as cleansing as a shower, they use less water. Another recycling idea to try is when working in the kitchen, washing fruits or vegetables, instead of letting the water run down the drain, you could contain it and use it to water plants. You could do the same when making something like pasta. Instead of pouring the water down the drain, you could save it and use it on your plants once it's cool. On another note, the water we use can later be purified and used as what's called reclaimed water. Reclaimed water is a former wastewater that goes through a purifying process to remove its impurities and then used for things like irrigation. Since we live in Merced County, a very arable area where farmers produce over 140,000 acres of different crops, it's important to get these crops the correct amount of water so they can be harvested and exported. Reclaiming the water that we've used is important because it becomes useful again. Reclaimed water is also used for constructional uses, certain fire hydrants, and dust control. California has been in a major drought for 3 consecutive years now and is still using water like there's an unlimited supply. Merced Irrigation District is the provider for our local farmers. Their resources, Lake McClure, Lake McSwain, Merced River, and the storage reservoir are at historic lows. The water that the resources still contain has to be allocated wisely and stretched as far as possible to ensure the growth of the commodities while still leaving enough for continual use. Using all of this water so nonchalantly is really baffling to me now. My eyes have been opened to how quickly and easily the water is gone through. It's incredible how much is taken for granted. I can honestly say that my water use will be reduced and more efficient due to knowing the importance of conserving, recycling, and reclaiming.